Good afternoon. This is TJ Muehleman with Standard Co. with a walkthrough of Standard Data. Standard Data is our data platform that's designed to make it easy to collect, to manage, and to analyze your data. So think of it as a lightweight data warehousing tool with a bunch of nifty tools that sit on either side of it to make it easy to collect data with either an Android phone, an iPhone, or on your desktop, or we can import data from a variety of sources or connect to another database. And then on the back end of that, we're connected to Metabase, which is our analytics tool for doing data visualizations, for seeing the progress of your data. We also have hooks for Power BI, Tableau, SAS, Stata, and a variety of other analytical toolkits. But in the middle of all this sits Standard Data, which is the toolkit for managing all of this data. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a very high-level walkthrough of how it works and setting up a new project and so on and so forth. So this won't be comprehensive. We have a bunch of other videos for more detailed dive-ins to the various components of the platform. But hopefully this gives you a sense for the power and utility of the tool. So we're going to start here on datastandard.co. This is a cloud-based tool, which means it's accessible anywhere in the world with internet. The cool thing is our data tools work offline, meaning you can collect data in very remote parts of the world. In fact, it was very specifically designed to work in those environments. So far, the platform has been used in about 63 countries. So it's tested and ready to roll anywhere on the planet that you might need to collect data. So I'm going to log in with a sample demo account. Okay. And by default, it's taking me into the only project that this account has access to. It's called Bothell Works. I live in a town outside of Seattle called Bothell. So this is real data I'm actually collecting myself about my town. So how many coffee shops does it have? My bike trips with my kids and other data points that I'm sort of finding interesting in my town. But we're going to set up a brand new project, and we'll come back to this one here towards the end. So adding a new project is as simple as sort of deciding what organization you're going to put your project in. So this account has two organizations it's a part of. Both of them are sort of internal organizations. Rid Our World of Disease Yesterday is our demo organization. So we'll call this demo project, and they'll give this description. This is our demonstration project. Now, the next two things, this is really interesting. This is what makes this, I think, a really compelling offering is we have the ability to create, when we create this project, it will create sort of a shadow project that will be a duplicate of this project. So when data flows into the system, it will flow into what we call the raw state, and it will be preserved there as it is forever. And you can't touch it, you can't edit it. And the reason this is important is that it gives you an avenue to go view the data as it was when you collected it, and as it is when you've cleaned it or made some changes to it. And this is really important. It gives you sort of an audit trail. You can roll back to previous versions of data, which not many of our contemporaries allow you to do. So I'm going to turn that on by default, so it'll create a kind of a shadow project. And I'm going to pick what countries this is we're working in. So we'll just put the United States. But you can pick multiple countries. And this is just so that if we end up doing mapping related to your data, we have the right maps loaded up. So let's go ahead and create this project. And so voila, we have created inside of our Rid Our World of Disease Yesterday, which is Rowdy, this demo project. And the description here called, this is our demonstration project. And you can see this is a raw project, meaning this is the raw data. You can't edit anything here. You can't really change anything here. You can just see the data. Once we have data, you can toggle very seamlessly between the raw and the clean, and we'll show you that. Collect. So the collect component is the data collection, right? So I mentioned earlier that could be done with an Android, with an iPhone, uploading data, what have you. Analyze. These are the dashboards. Scripts. This is the different ways you can manipulate your data. Typically, clients have us write scripts for them, so that might be seeking out outliers, duplicates, missing data, that sort of thing. Documents, you can upload documents to your project. And last but not least, you can have multiple users. We support a model where we don't charge per seat or per user, so you can have unlimited users. So we have projects with 300, 400, 500 users on the project. But we're going to start with the most kind of fundamental component to all this, which is I want to start collecting some data. So let me go ahead and there's a couple different ways to create or set up a data collection component here. So you can either build a form with a what you see is what you get form, which is what we're going to do. But we also support something called XLS form. Okay, so XLS form is like building surveys on steroids. This is the kind of stuff that Typeform doesn't support. It's the kind of thing that SurveyMonkey doesn't support. It allows you to build in complex logic into the survey. So you can use regular expressions for valid data validation. You can have skip logic. You can have nested repeaters and groups and a whole bunch of really nifty pieces of functionality that would ensure that when you're doing data collection in the field, you get the highest quality data. But we'll cover that. We have a whole series of videos on XLS form. We won't get into that here. So we're just going to build a form. Okay, so we're going to call this form. We're going to call this sample data. And you can pick a source and a source URL here. These are both optional. This would be good if you're importing data from, say, the CDC or WHO or the World Bank. But we're not doing that. We're actually gathering the data ourselves. So and I can pick a field name. So we're going to say name and the label. So this is what it's actually called. And what's the field type? So these are all the different field types we support. So string, text, integer, decimal, date, time, geopoint, which is for geolocation, which is really nice. Select one, so a pick list, and a select multiple, which is I want to pick multiple options. So we're just going to call this a string. Add that field. Here it is. We're going to do date of birth, DOB, date of birth, and we're going to give that a date. Add that field, and we're going to do location. Location, and this is a geopoint. Okay. So I have created, or I've started to create a really simple form, right? That has a name, that has a date of birth, and that has a location. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and publish this form. And what's going to happen is a whole bunch of things are going to happen behind the scenes when I click this one simple button. When I click that, it's asking me, am I sure I want to build this? Yep, I'm real sure. Let's go ahead and publish that. And what's happening behind the scenes, I'll give you a quick insight into what's happening. So we've just built this survey. So a handful of things happen. So now it's available as a web form, meaning I can fill this form out on my browser that we're looking at right here. But I can also fill this form out on an Android device using an app called ODK Collect or our own app, Secure Data Kit, formerly known as Secure Data Kit, soon to be renamed Standard Data. I can also do it on an iPhone. And I can also import this data with a CSV. My point here is that there's just a lot of different ways to get data into the system, and we've made it as sort of simple as possible.